I have done tapes on mind control and video and about my kidnapping, and I've done so many of them, and I don't get any hits on YouTube, just a couple. And I've been doing this for a couple of months, so people, they either aren't seeing it or they don't take notice of it. Um, Mind control is a very horrific, and it's taking away every civil right you have. So my thoughts were that people should be really interested in trying to get something done. It brought before Congress again, or the media forced to acknowledge and tell about it. I've put this about the Haysom murders here next door in Bedford, and this was done, the murder in April of '85, and then they prosecuted Jens and Elizabeth. He was a diplomat's son, and it was her parents that were murdered with a butcher knife. They prosecuted them, and I get in trouble for telling the truth. Everybody around here knew it was mind control murders. The Sweeney, the judge who's now retired, the prosecuting attorney was Updike, and now he's replaced Sweeney, who retired, as judge. And I get in trouble because there's more. I mean, you're talking about people who are law enforcement and telling about them, their involvement. They prosecuted innocent people. Now then, here's the Fort Hood, right next door I'm in Roanoke, and he went to school at Blacksburg at the University of Virginia. He's a psychiatrist, and of course he was held accountable for the shootings in Fort Hood, and like Holmes at the movie theater in Aurora, Colorado. Now then, back to the Fort Hood, to the doctor, psychiatrist. He finished school at Virginia Tech and then went on to study medicine and psychiatry somewhere else. My point is, there's been quite a number of mind control murders done at Tech and at the University of Virginia, and nobody tells about. Well, I do, and so many people know it, but the media will not tell it, and it seems if the media doesn't pick up on it, then it's not going to be told. The media is controlled by the Rockefellers, Rothschilds, Elizabeth, and Charles are members of it. So there you go. And I will say this too, right quick. This was Timothy McVeigh, who said that the military put a chip up him, and it's implantable biochips. Now this happened after I wrote the book, but the dates in it's what would help prove it. And Terry Nichols is still in prison. Project Lucid is the name of it. Now, I may be making this too long, and I wanted to say this, that in what I know about mind control and the patterns, and you can't prove mind control, I don't believe, unless it's done in patterns. So this, for me to pick up on it and write about it, it was done deliberately, and believe me, it wasn't my consent, and it's been hell, and I've got nothing but hell every day from it. I have to say this, because it's true. Either Edward Snowden, and I like him, I'm not saying that, and I've hesitated to say much about it, but because I don't want to take anything away from him being brave or anything, but for him to have been able to get into national security, because that's who's doing this, your agencies, law enforcement, and all of them now are a one group, and that's what people can't fathom. But anyway, for him to be able to get into and acquire the information, he was under mind control himself, or somebody that's got so much power, the same group that's involved with what I've told about, had to be responsible for him to get in there and gather the information, either because he was under mind control and he didn't know he was, and he was gathering it, or the agency approached him on a verbal one-to-one meeting and got his participation and had him gain access. Now, it doesn't, either one of them doesn't take away from him. His name is Edward Snowden, and somebody says, well, how do you know? That's what I've been telling people, how I know, trying to get them to listen. When I say he is either, I would think he's under mind control totally, to go in and get it. It's the name Edward Snowden and the timeline where he went, and a lot of factors like a fingerprint analysis goes into deciding if it was a mind control person under mind control. So I'm going to quit on that. And the Jens Oring is still in jail. He's in Buckingham, Virginia State Prison. And I wanted to say Bedford. I wanted to zero in on that. Bedford, it's been horrific what's happened there, and more than the Jens Orings, but that's enough. But there was a horse, and believe me, if anybody is an animal lover, it's me. Me, Margaret Ann Windsor, kidnapped from Buckingham Palace, 41, and brought to this country, Moulton, Alabama, near NASA, given another name of Peggy Ann Dempsey, married to Childers, and Peggy was a twin, and Carl, and both twins were dead. Excuse me, they were killed by Lina Dempsey, their mother. I grew up in that hellhole of a family, and if you think I'm going to sugarcoat and give it another name, no, there's no words to describe what I went through or have gone through, and my kids, my parents, and my country at the hands of this United States of America. And it's been ongoing. I'm 75 years old almost. So now then, I have missed where I started here, and I was going to go back to it. Bedford. I've been putting these in on video on Facebook. I have taken it to the media, which the whole problem is telling about me. My kidnapping is really in mind control, because nobody's immune to mind control that I know of. And if you try to say anything about it, then you're deemed as mentally ill, which is what they're after, okay? You can download MK Ultra or just look at it on YouTube or Google, any of it, Wikipedia. If you want information on it, it's out there. It wasn't when I told about it in 77, 78. But it was my kidnapping. This is my father, Edward VIII. This is the double that married Wallace Warfield Simpson, and my own uncle met with Roosevelt in 39, the year I was born. I was kidnapped in 41. His own brother, who is Elizabeth's father, and the illegal monarchs helped in my kidnapping. The Rockefellers, the New World Order, the Freemasons. They're all having a good time, aren't they? Now then, about the Bedford, let me get that in here if anybody even listens to this. Bedford, all of this that I put in here over and over again. The other day, and I started to say, believe me, I'm an animal lover, and I turned around and showed my face and my name. I love animals probably more than most people. I'm very sensitive. I want to say, though, people should be concerned, not just because it happened to me or it's been used on people. You can do it in mass, and it's so far advanced now. And I know this happened, for Snowden to be able to get in, they can program him to go in and do what he did and come back out. They don't need anything else. They can program people to get the job and then come out and spill their guts to them and wipe it out of their memory. So somewhere along the line, somebody should have listened to all this. But the point I was going to make is I have put all this at my peril on video and the media and walked when I got nothing but out my own money, what little I have. But there was a thing, a photo that went viral here in Bedford, of all things. It's on network television yesterday and the day before. It was a horse that was on a farm out there, and it went viral. And people thought, I guess, it was freezing and all that, when in fact, it might not have been the most comfortable, but I mean, as far as that goes, it wasn't being abused, and people, the point I'm making, it went viral. Everybody went after it. The police in Bedford, all of them, they got all these phone calls in response to it, and it turned out the horse was fine. But to my knowledge, no one has reached out to try and help me. It's much easier for people to watch Good Morning America and watch Kate run around and give money to charity, which I'm for charity, but hey, it's my money, and hey, I could use a little charity myself. But they love looking at her clothes, and right away, her dress that she wore, that they photographed this morning, was sold out. Here I am. I'm lucky to have a jacket. Here are my shoes that I've worn for a year and a half that hurt like heck. And there's a backpack. I can't put it on my back anymore to even go out and breathe fresh air. So I want to read a letter from Jack, and I hope Jack doesn't get mad at me. Or most of all, I don't want to get Jack hurt. He was a reporter, and that I met in '80 when I worked for the district attorney's office and had working there with brain damage when they put antifreeze in me. For writing the book, I thought, but it was because of my kidnapping, and I didn't know it then, but I found out in '83. I'm just going to read a little bit from Jack here, and I've always wondered, he's never said that to me, but he knows too much, and to me, I would bet he's FBI, and he's a very nice person. He saved my life, and I don't know that. Anyway, I'm going to go over here real quick, or I'm not going to get this, and people tend to tune it out when it's too long. He says, so to discredit you and me later, the logic of some very sinister people was to go to great lengths to destabilize your life, to make you appear nuts, loony, schizophrenic, paranoid, to break you if possible, psychologically and emotionally. After all, it's the guts of the U.S. space program. That's Huntsville, where they kidnapped and brought me. They brought me to nearby Huntsville in '41, Moulton, and it became NASA, where the security data was occurring far too often, leaks at the Army's Missile and Munitions Center and school operated. And it's a space race. And then he says about J. Edgar Hoover's FBI Division 5, a super-secret police agency it operated since the early 40s. In fact, it's so sensitive it doesn't exist. And sometimes the cloak of national security can be seriously abused, not to protect the nation's secrets, but to hide and bury blunders, even make some blurry conspiracies that more than hint at heavy criminal involvement in the defense contracting. Well, my ex-husband worked in that. Targets were sometimes given LSD, other mind-manipulating chemicals, the intent to destabilize. Often the targets never knew they were given the stuff. Well, you apply that to the direct hit on mind control, and that's what it is. You teach them when they're unaware the Morse code at a low level. And you go and try, if you knew it and you went to a psychiatrist or psychologist, and believe me, they know the difference. So you see the high level of cover-up in it. Still another program tied to the research called psychotronics in the U.S. and formerly called psychotectronics by the defunct Soviet Union. And I'm going to have to quit because I'm running out of time. using electronic frequencies, low-level frequencies, in some cases what is called brain wave entrainment. So you start, if you found out about it on your own and went to a psychiatrist, they'd have you locked up. Now then, I've told it over and over.